Warning. This is a free episode of the Grow With Me series available on Patreon. This gives you an idea of what the series is like, and it's a perfect way for a new grower with no experience to learn everything they need to know for a successful harvest. All right, Gromies, class in session. I'm trying to make this as foolproof as possible. The first thing you want to do is a slurry test. Simply mix soil to water at a 1-to-1 ratio and let it sit overnight, then measure the pH and ppm after. This reading will be different for everyone, and for me, it was 6.6. Since my target pH is 6.2, I'm taking the difference, which is 0.4, and going on the opposite end of 6.2, which is 5.8. It's very important that you understand this, but for the first 4 weeks, we're going to be feeding this same pH level to compensate for the soil's pH. I don't want to waste this slurry, so I'll mix it back into my water and add some pH up and down, and I settled at around 5.7. Next, we're going to prepare our pots, but this time we're going to add a 1 to 2 inch layer of perlite on the bottom. Perlite provides a buffer against overwatering because roots don't want to grow in it. These are the actual roots of my plant after harvesting in this series. You could still overwater in veg, but as long as you don't water directly over the main stem, you'll be safe, and I'll teach you the best techniques in future episodes. We're going to use these 5-gallon fabric pots to measure the soil 3 times over and factor in a layer of perlite on the bottom. For 3 5-gallon fabric pots, this is how much soil should be left in a 2 cubic foot bag. You'll see the soil is slightly moist, but I'm going to water it to a point where it's saturated. For me, that's about 1.75 gallons. In the end, you'll notice that you still can't squeeze water out no matter how hard you squeeze. Mix this soil thoroughly, and I usually notice the wet soil on the bottom, and I like to use my bare hands to scrape it out and bring it above. Use bare hands so you could feel the moisture. Once it's mixed thoroughly, put a mask on and carefully pour 1 inch to 2 inches of perlite into your fabric pot. Flatten it out so there isn't a small hill in the center, and next, fill the rest of the pot up with the pre-moistened soil. Bring it around 1 inch to the top of the pot, but don't ever try to push the soil down. I like to swing and spin the soil so that it's still fluffy and capable of aerating. Let this soil sit in room temperature, and you could cover the pots if you want. What we're doing is brewing the soil. Happy Frog has a ton of microbes that are activated when wet. You're letting the microbes grow so that it could break down the organic matter in the soil, and you're also setting it up so that once you plant the seeds, you won't have to water the plants for around 5 days. We'll be popping seeds in about 5 days, and if your seeds are in the fridge, make sure you put them in room temperature to thaw them out a couple of days before germination. Thanks for participating in this project. If you have any questions, comment below. I want to know all the issues you have, because my goal of this project is to prove that anyone can replicate this grow. So week -1, we got some discrepancies. We have some people that have 7-gallon pots, so they're gonna end up using the whole entire bag. The slurry tests were the most inconsistent. A comfortable grow zone pH is between 5.8 and 6.5, and you could see 5 out of 6 of these pots are outside of the grow zone, which is proof. Make sure you pH balance your starting soil. If none of these pots factored in the initial pH, they would have all had problems. On the first, we're gonna pop seeds, and week 1 starts as soon as the seeds sprout and they're transplanted into their forever pots. I'm gonna teach you how to grow some weed.